Stock market, it's all a big bubble, and parallels to the 1929 market crash and the Great Depression. Today, I want to reflect on something that Donald Trump said way back in August of 2016 when the Dow Jones Industrial Average was around 18,000. I'm going to reference an article from way back on August 9th, 2016 on CNBC.com written by Jeff Cox, titled, "Donald Trump on the Stock Market, It's All a Big Bubble." During an interview, Donald Trump said, if rates go back up, you're going to see something that's not pretty. It's all a big bubble. Well, my friends, we have seen rates go back up. The Fed has been restrictive with their policy, and now we are starting to see something that isn't pretty. I just think it is interesting that Donald Trump called the stock market a bubble back in August of 2016 when the Dow was only at 18,000. Today, we are trading around 38,000. Let's think about blowing bubbles with chewing gum for a moment. If you put some gum in your mouth and start blowing, you might get a bubble that is about an inch in diameter before it pops. You could chew that gum up again and start blowing, and the next time, you might get a bubble that is twice as large. It might not pop until it is around 2 inches in diameter. Now, you might get lucky and you could blow a bubble that is 4 inches in diameter before it pops. With this example in mind, you can see how it's unknown how big a bubble could grow until it eventually pops. If you blow that gum bubble big enough and it pops, that gum could splatter all over your face. You could end up with gum all over your mustache and beard and have one big mess. You may spend a lot of time picking all of that gum out of your facial hair. If it had been a smaller bubble that popped, you would have had less of a sticky mess to deal with. It may have only stuck to your lips. If the stock market is a bubble today, imagine the mess that will be left if it does pop. Imagine how long it could take to pick all of that gum out of your facial hair before you are ever ready to chew gum again. The turbulence that we have seen in the stock market in the past couple of weeks is nothing compared to what may be in store down the road. Imagine the financial carnage if the market were to just drop from 38,000 back to 18,000, which is where it was at when Donald Trump called it a big bubble in 2016. Now, some of you may be quick to say that won't ever happen because we have circuit breakers in place now, or this is an election year, so the government won't let it happen. Or some of you might say there is a plunge protection team in place. Or some of you might say we have a Fed that has a track record of always coming to the rescue. Some of you may say the Fed will ramp up quantitative easing and we will be at all-time highs very soon. Maybe you are right. If the market turbulence continues, it's certainly possible the Fed may have an emergency meeting and lower rates prior to September, and then lower rates again in September. We never know what kind of rabbit they are going to pull out of their hat. In my opinion, the Fed is often slow to act, and this is the same Fed that told us inflation was transitory. How much faith can you really put in them? For my younger viewers, some of you have grown up during unusual financial times. A lot of what has been going on in the past decade and a half has been artificial. Many of my younger viewers may have never lived through the dot-com bubble. I'm going to quote Wikipedia. Between 1995 and its peak in March of 2000, investments in the NASDAQ Composite Stock Market Index rose by 800%. Only to fall to 78% from its peak by October 2002, giving up all its gains during the bubble. That was a painful time. I knew a lot of people who got wiped out back then. I made some money during the run-up. Fortunately, I liquidated a lot of my positions prior to the implosion. Back then, many stocks traded based on dot-com hype. There was a lot of excitement in the air surrounding dot-com companies. It was really unbelievable how fast some of those stocks shot up in price. I'm going to reference Wikipedia again. The dot-com boom can be seen as similar to a number of other technology-inspired booms of the past, including railroads in the 1840s, automobiles in the early 20th century, and radio in the 1920s. Here are my thoughts. I've watched several documentaries about the stock market hype in the 1920s. When I watch those, I see so many parallels to today. Instead of radio, we have artificial intelligence today. We also have electric vehicles today. My point is, the hype is the same, and the greed is the same. It all ended badly on Black Monday, which was October 28, 1929, when the Dow declined 13%. A lot of people have been freaking out today because the Dow dropped 900 points, which was only 2.3%. Imagine if over the course of multiple days, we saw the Dow evaporate by 13%. It certainly is a real possibility. Too many people think it could never happen today. Well, it could. I'm not saying it's going to, I'm just saying it could. Just like I said earlier, some of you probably believe it won't happen because you believe the Fed has a plunge protection team. Some of you think it can't happen because this is an election year. Some of you think it can't happen because the Fed will just cut rates. I want all of you to think for a moment how intertwined our world is. We are living in a global economy. What happens somewhere else could have ripple effects here in America. For example, look at what happened with Japan. They saw the Nikkei index plunge 12.4% in the past day, which was the worst drop since the 1987 Black Monday crash. 12.4% is pretty darn close to the 13% drop experienced on Black Monday on October 28, 1929. I want all of you to remember the exit doors are small. People in 1929 found out just how small those exit doors were. Some retail traders who may have tried to head toward those exit doors this morning were left frustrated. I read an interesting story today on ZeroHedge.com written by Tyler Durden, likely a pseudonym for writers at Zero Hedge, titled "Retail Traders Furious as Outages Hit Major U.S. Brokerages Amid Black Monday Chaos." The author of this article referenced website monitor Down Dector, who reported several major U.S. brokerage houses had outages. These included Charles Schwab, Fidelity, Ameritrade, Vanguard, and E-Trade. Well, my friends, I am sure this added to the panic that some people felt this morning. Using my exit door analogy, this is like someone in a burning building who reaches the exit door and finds out there are chains around it with a padlock. They are so close to getting out of the burning building, but they can't. There has been a lot of greed, hype, and financial manipulation in our world since quantitative easing first started back in November of 2008. The excessive manipulation after COVID just dumped more fuel on the fire. What we experienced today is just a small wake-up call. This is really just a blip on the radar, even though it was very painful for some investors. Today could have been a lot worse. Look at what just happened in Japan. That was a lot worse. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your hats and hope we don't see any of our indexes here in America drop to those extremes in the days and weeks to come. Please keep in mind that everything in this video is for entertainment purposes only, and nothing in this video is financial advice or advice of any kind. If you need advice, seek advice from a qualified professional in good standing who puts your interests first and foremost. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. Please also consider sharing this video with your friends. I want to extend a special thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. I want to also thank all of my channel members. If you would like to become a channel member, there is a link in the description beneath this video. You can read more about the different membership levels. Please also check out some of the great books that I suggest you consider reading in the description below. I've included Amazon affiliate links to these books. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. Stay healthy and wealthy. I'll see everyone in the next video.